Hello and welcome to the Mindset Coach podcast, the show where coaches and coaches-to-be tune in to learn how to integrate mindset coaching tools and neuroscience-based techniques into their practice and grow and scale a coaching business they love. I'm your host, Lara Young, founder of the Mindset Coach Academy, author of 52 Adventures to Change Your Life, award-winning business owner, coach and coach trainer. Tune into this podcast each Friday, free on all the podcasting apps, and click to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And remember, mindset is everything. 7 mindset hacks you need in order to succeed. And this is part 1. Mindset hack 1 is I am in charge of my mind and therefore I'm in charge of my results. Now, this one is really interesting to get your head around. Now, as we saw in our episode on what is mindset, your mind isn't just what you think about. It's also about your reaction and your responses to the way you think about or interpret external events, which creates behavior, which is positive or negative, that you engage in as a result. And these reactions, responses, and behaviors can help you or hinder you in your quest to achieve the outcome that you desire. Now, everything is a choice, and the way that you choose to think about or interpret everything that goes on in your life is a choice. Now, it may not be a conscious choice, but you can start to become aware of how you're reacting to situations and experiences and what happens as a result of those reactions. Are you getting or achieving what you want or not? Because if you're not getting the results you desire, you can decide to make a change. You can start to pay attention to and make a note of your reactions, your responses, and your outcomes. Understanding what you choose to believe about specific situations is also key to making your intended outcomes a reality for you. Because when you want to make it happen, taking inspired action towards an intended outcome and having the belief that you can make it happen is key. And to achieve a desired outcome, you need to believe 3 things. The first thing is that it's possible to achieve it. The second thing is that you are able to achieve it. And the third thing is that you deserve to achieve it. Now, we've explored beliefs in other episodes. And the key thing, of course, is that we really want to make sure that as coaches, we understand our own beliefs about in those 3 areas, about what it is that we desire to achieve, and also that we help our clients to understand their beliefs as well. And then that way we can, of course, start to use conscious and unconscious belief change tools to help them create change. Now, as a starting point, you may like to look at your goals or your desired outcomes and answer the 3 questions. First question is, do I believe it is possible to achieve this goal? The second one is, am I able to achieve this goal? And the third one is, do I deserve to achieve this goal? And just see what comes up for you. Now, in the meantime, remember, say to yourself, I'm in charge of my mind and therefore my results. Mindset hack number 2 is to focus on the road and not on the wall. So if you focus on the wall, you're going to drive straight into it. If you focus on the road, you'll follow the road. Now, and it's true for whatever your desired outcome is. You need to focus on what you want and not on what you don't want. Put another way, where your attention goes, your energy flows. Don't think of a pink elephant. Now, my guess is that the first thing you've done there is to actually think of a pink elephant, because in order not to do something, you need to be able to create an image, a representation of that thing to yourself, which is why, what we're focusing on, the language that we're using with ourselves is so important. And I want to ask you something right now. How much of your thinking is about what you don't want to have happen or what might happen if things don't work out in the way that you hope they will? The answer to that one question will always determine your ultimate success. You see, the secret to all success is being able to stay focused on exactly what you want, regardless of how long it takes or what else is currently happening or what temporary obstacles might be in your way. It's this single ability to stay focused on the end result no matter what that will ultimately enable you to make it happen in your life or your business. Now, we've talked before about your reticular activation system, or your RAS. Just like a computer, your brain has an incredible search function. It's programmed by what you focus on and what you identify with. And once you identify what you want, your RAS activates to help you make it happen by constantly searching for opportunities to make what you want a reality. It helps with the how. It helps with the how you're going to make it happen. Now, it's not about positive thinking, although, of course, that does help. It's actually about taking inspired action towards what you want. Now, you can make sure that you're focusing on what you want by answering these questions. The first one is, what do I want to do, be, or have? Now, this helps you to get clarity. And the key here, of course, as with any goal setting, is that you want to make sure that what you desire is positively stated. It's about what you want and not about what you don't want. The question number 2 is, why do I want it? Now, when we ask ourselves a why question, we're actually eliciting motivation. Now, this is in part about the values that guide you. What will having this do or enable you to do, be, or have? Now, once you determine what you want to make happen and why you want to make it happen, you have begun the journey to making it a reality. And you've also activated the incredible power of your mind and your reticular activation system to help guide you to the how along the way. So here are key steps for being able to focus on the road. First, get clarity about your desired outcome, the destination. Second, get specific about your motivation. Now, your motivation is the fuel that will keep you moving, even if things don't go as planned. Third, take deliberate action to move towards that desired outcome. This is the journey. And ask yourself now, what one action will you take to focus on what you want today? How will you get that focus, that real clarity, so that you're focusing on the road and not on the wall?
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you, so thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
Our third mindset hack is there is no failure, only feedback. Now, in life and in business, things may not always go as you imagined they would. We all face challenges and obstacles, and life may arise along the way. You may end up drifting off course or having to take an unexpected detour. For example, your child becomes ill, you move house, or you're running an online business and you have no internet connection at home for several weeks. Or a pandemic happens and you're homeschooling. In fact, your journey to where you want to be will most likely not be a straight line from A to B, but more of a long and winding road. Reality is, though, you're the navigator. Now, the key here is to develop the resilience and the agility to know what to do in these situations, to stay focused on your ultimate outcome and keep moving in the right direction, to pay attention and make changes as necessary so that you can stay on course, to use your sensory acuity, the metrics that you've got in place and the dashboards you've got in place in your business to notice and measure your progress. Really paying attention to those inner and outer metrics and measures that you've got. How many clients have you got on board? What's happening with the financial dashboard? What's happening with your social media? What are your social media insights telling you? How are you engaging with clients? Now, it's really important that you do have that agility and that flexibility to be able to make changes as required, to use both the metrics that you've got operating in your business, as well as, when you scan the environment and notice environmental changes, economic changes, changes in your industry, to actually be able to have the agility to make changes. I'm seeing more and more there's a tendency for people to want to move away from, for example, group programs and more into one-to-one work because they're craving connection. We've been in lockdown for a long time now, and so people are operating, their behaviour's changing. And there's a great quote here by Elizabeth Edwards, and it is that she stood in the storm, and when the wind did not blow her way, she adjusted the sails. And this is key for you. There is no failure, there's only feedback. And if you're paying attention all the time to how you're going, those metrics, and you're taking it as feedback of things that may need to change, how you may need to adjust your sails, and you have that flexibility and that resilience, it is so powerful for then achieving the goals that you desire. Because making it happen is also about developing a positive reaction to perceived failure. To see failure as an opportunity rather than a threat to your ultimate success. Now, if you view your progress in terms of success or failure, you're not fully utilizing the power of your mindset, and you're not fully utilizing your ability to learn from the feedback you're receiving and to be able then to adjust your course accordingly. So how do you view mistakes? There are lots of ways people view mistakes. They can avoid them at all costs. They can hide them as quickly as possible. They can say to themselves, I'll never do that again. They can adopt an attitude that I welcome them. They're part of the learning process. They can be questioning, well, that was interesting, and I wonder what that means. They can also be a bit analytical. I need to work out what happens so I can make improvements. Now, the reality is that the best way to view mistakes or perceived failure is that they're not mistakes. They're just opportunities for learning something new. And if you do this, if you adopt this attitude, you will be able to start to develop that resilience and also ultimately, of course, achieve your goals and your desires. And if you stumble, make it part of the dance. Nobody else needs to know. So how do you know how you're going? I want you to think about this in the context of your business. What feedback loops do you have in place to check progress towards your goals? What external feedback loops do you have? Are you measuring customer and client satisfaction? Are you looking at your insights on social media? Are you looking at your sales that you're getting? What metrics do you have in your business to measure feedback? And also your own internal feedback. And often this is about how we feel about situations and circumstances. How do you know when you've done a good job? Because the reality is that when we're striving to make things happen, when we want to achieve our goals and achieve our outcomes, it all is about discovering what doesn't work and what does work. And when you know what works in your business, when you know what works in your coaching, it's really about doing more of that and focusing on that and applying more of that into your business. And there are 4 great journal prompts that I like to use every evening. And they are, what have you learned today? What have you learned today? I know that as long as I'm learning something new every day, I'm growing. And I have the ability to develop that flexibility. The next one is, what do I need to stop doing? What do I recognize at the end of that day that maybe I need to stop doing? Last week's episode was about boundaries, and there were some lessons for me in boundaries, and I hope there were for you too. And so I asked myself this question, what do I need to stop doing? Then I asked myself, what will I start doing? What do I need to start doing to increase my overall effectiveness, to bring more joy into my life, to attract my ideal clients? What do I need to start doing to achieve my goals? And then I asked myself, what will I continue doing? What am I doing that's already working really well for me that I know if I continue doing it, I'm going to continue to get those amazing results? There are 4 more hacks to come, and they're going to be in next week's episode. I'd love to hear what you thought about our first 3 mindset hacks. Until next week, have an amazing day. Bye for now.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Mindset Coach podcast. Remember to join us next week for another episode and subscribe on your favourite podcast app. Leave us a review if you've loved it, share it with your friends, and I really look forward to learning how you're implementing the tools and techniques that you're learning here. Mindset is everything.